Welcome to self-discoverywisdom.com, formerly known as Self-Discovery Media. On these podcasts, you're going to hear people who speak from the heart. They've taken the journey in life. Many things have happened to them, but they've changed it to happening for them. And in their strength, their courage, they've discovered their abilities and their wisdom, and they are now sharing it here with you. Do enjoy each show. We bring it to you with love and knowing that it's going to help you on your journey of life. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, folks. Welcome back to another edition of Your Health is Your Choice right here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy. My wonderful young guest today is Adrianne Hart. We're going to be talking about your health. She's a wellness hypnotist and host of the Get Well Me podcast. She specializes in deep sleep, healthy weight, and habit upgrades. So we're talking about hypnotists and her 2 decades of experience, her journey into the hypnotic world. And it began as a curious teenager, witnessing a family member overcome a stubborn dental phobia in just one session. It inspired her to do this incredible transformation, and she explored the hypnosis that could elevate her own back pain. And to her surprise, a single session on a cassette tape my gosh, we're going back away. Cassette tape provided instant relief, igniting her passion for learning more about this natural state of mind and making hypnosis part of her wellness for life. So after many years of helping her clients achieve their healthy weight and upgrade their habits, she discovered that she can make the biggest impact by offering all of her wellness sessions for free on Get Well With Me Up podcast, which is wonderful. Thousands of people drift off to sleep every night, listening to her soothing voice and wake up happier, healthier, and lighter. And after all, isn't that what we are meant to do? Wake up happy, healthy, ready to greet the day. No aches and pains of feeling like the Tin Man getting out of bed, or you haven't had enough sleep and now you're grumpy. I don't want to greet another day. No, we want to embrace that day with all the enthusiasm that we have. So I'm going to tell you a story about hypnosis where I saw the impact for it before bringing on Adrianne. And it was my daughter was about 5, and she could not sleep on her own at night. I'd find her by my bed or crawling into bed with me on the floor. And even with all the lights on, it's just was something that she couldn't do. It was a fierce little thing by day, but by night, it just absolutely scared the bejeebies out of her. So I took her to somebody who specializes with children in hypnosis. And we discovered that at least 3 times in her life, she'd been abandoned, and it had been abandoned in closed places in the dark. And even at the age of 5, she kind of understood, this is not you now. You're safe now. And so she started sleeping in her room through the night with the light on, and it didn't take long before the light went off. So hypnosis is very, very, very powerful. Welcome to the show, love.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It is an honor to be here. And I love that you had an open mind to take your daughter to a hypnotist. And I noticed that many problems and um, with adults are lack of sleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if hypnosis can help with sleep, and as I say, every good hypnotist should be able to put you to sleep. So
Yes.
that's part of the reason that I love the Get Well With Me podcast, because I can give away all of my free sessions, and I'll often do a daytime session in case somebody needs to get back to work and they want to take a break in the middle of the day, and then extended sleep music that just lulls you to sleep where there's no reemergence. So on the Get Well With Me podcast, a person can expect to most of the time have the option for either or for almost every session that I give away there. But tell me a little bit on your daughter. How did you stumble across hypnosis? Did you know someone or?
I can't remember how it came about because that would have been 31 years ago. But I'm always open to things.
I love
For
that.
me, it's like Western medicine is the alternative medicine. And there
Yes.
is always solutions out there that have been there for thousands of years. Now,
Mhm.
Western medicine certainly has its place. You
Mhm.
break something, a major infection, a tumor, things like that. Absolutely. We need that. But it is about crisis medicine. It's not
Yes.
about prevention or getting to the deep root of a problem.
Mhm.
And there are so many mediums out there that do that, and hypnosis is one of them. Now, I
Yes.
have to admit, somebody tried to hypnotize me and it didn't work. And that's, you probably have got some angel defenses up there that are, always protecting me. But with my daughter, at the same time, actually, she was having treatments for neck pain, seeing a massage therapist or a physiotherapist, actually, and they couldn't understand. There was nothing they could see physically wrong.
Mm.
Yet she could hardly move her neck this way or that way, and she was around about the same age. And then we had were digging up the backyard to lay down some piping, and a tree had uprooted. And when you looked at it, my husband looked at it from the window and said, "That looks like a dragon's head cut off at the neck."
Mm.
And he went up and he pulled the whole tree up. Now, normally I took my daughter to physio. He did that day. I had to take a son to the dentist. So, and the therapist looked at her and said, "What did you do? What's happened? Have you been seeing somebody else?" There is no stiffness in her neck whatsoever. She's got mobility, right? And it was just that feng shui of things being
Yes.
blocked. And I'm very much about the energy must flow within your body. And when we have blockage, we have problems. So I'm
Yes.
always open. And I know that our minds get in the way,
Mhm.
right? They are the defense system, they are the doubt system, the chatter chatter. And when you can have bypass that with hypnosis and then speak to the root of the problem,
Mhm.
now you're actually being able to address what really the issue is and not all that chatter defense that's there.
That's right. That's exactly right. It's interesting about the neck pain with your daughter.
Mhm.
I was suffering from really severe back pain, and I did not have a previous injury. I was only 19 years old. It had been going on for some time, and I had this cassette tape that I got from the hypnotist that helped my sister. And I hadn't thought much of it, but I kind of had it in my back pocket as like a just in case. Since I was traveling, I thought maybe if I could bring something along to help me. And sure enough, about halfway through my honeymoon,
Yeah.
my husband was out enjoying drinks. People were playing volleyball in the pool, and I was laying flat on my back on the couch that was in the hotel room. And I said, you know what? Let me go ahead and give this cassette tape a try. I popped it in and I laid there. I can just imagine I was on this like pink velvet couch, just flat on my back with my little Sony Walkman, my headphones, and listening. And I had the most incredible breakthrough. It was, it was truly the moment that I realized that the whole world needs the power of hypnosis.
Mhm.
It was on my honeymoon after that experience that I wrote down in my journal that when I got home, I was going to pursue an education in hypnosis. And what happened for me was the tape, of course, it had some beautiful hypnotic suggestions just for pain relief. But there was a part of it where in a light trance, and I know it was a light trance because I
Mhm.
remember the session. It led me to discover what the cause of the pain was. And when I was able to see how I was, in a way, inflicting this on myself and give myself so much self-compassion, I was immediately alleviated from this pain. And what was going on is that I'm the oldest of five kids. And for anyone who's listening, if you're the oldest, it's a beautiful responsibility.
Mhm.
And your younger siblings, they look up to you. And in a way, you're almost like the third parent.
Mhm.
And at this time, I had moved out of my home at 16. And so I was not realizing that I was feeling very guilty about leaving
Mhm.
my brothers and sisters behind at a time when their mom was not there. Um, it still kind of makes me, it does make me emotional to think about it. Anyway, when I'm listening to this cassette tape, there was this instant moment where I could actually see myself so overcome with sadness and overwhelm and guilt for not being there. And also, because of this cassette tape, I was able to realize that my brothers and sisters and my parents, they wouldn't want me to be flat
Hmm.
on my back
Yeah.
on the
Yeah.
couch
Feeling
during
guilty
feeling
for something that
guilty.
you really weren't responsible for.
And also, to give myself permission to have a good time and know that I can go home and I can continue to make an impact in their life. And I
Yes.
can continue to be the superstar big sister and guide them through life. And that it was okay for me
Hmm.
to enjoy. There was just this part of me that just felt like, how come I get to have
Yeah.
this one? I didn't come from a lot. So to
Hmm.
be at an all-inclusive vacation, it just seemed so much. I
Hmm.
was being treated like royalty, it seemed, and it didn't feel right. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with the book by Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap. And he talks about we have this kind of like glass ceiling on our happiness of what we allow ourselves to
Hmm.
experience. And
Hmm.
this back pain that I had been experiencing for some time was really at like a pinnacle while I was on my honeymoon. And that's what I was doing. I was just putting a cap on how much love and happiness and everything that I could possibly experience. Being liberated from this changed me in such a profound way that it was an experience that I can go right back to in my mind where I don't have to question if this is my life's work.
Right.
And I also realized that a person doesn't have to go to a hypnotherapist. They can
Hmm.
actually listen to a recording and have a permanent change. And yes, in one session, but oftentimes these issues will resurface because, I
Hmm.
continued to feel that way off and on, especially depending on what was going on um, at home. So, all of this really stemmed from an incredible experience with my little sister. And may I share that with you?
Yes, please do.
Okay, so again, being the big sister, my my role was always to guide them, and it really felt so empowering to have influence and know that like the words that I said really made a difference in their lives, whether that was I love you or I'm proud of you or hey, don't go that way. That's
Hmm.
the wrong track, right? I'm kind of famous for giving them lots of lectures. But being not the parent and being like the cool
Yes.
older sister, they actually listened.
Hmm.
So my sister had terrible smile. It really needed a lot of work, and it was time to go to the dentist and time to get her braces on. And I tried everything I could. Sarah, I held a mirror up in front of her and had her look herself in the face. I threatened her. Don't you want to get a boyfriend? Your senior pictures are coming up. I mean, I tried the sweet way and the mean way,
Hmm.
and it always ended in just like frustration and disappointment. So at that time, I had a friend who said I was expressing my disgust and frustration, and she said, "I have a mom. My mom can help with that." And I thought, what is she, some kind of magical dentist? What is she going to possibly do? And she says, no, she's a hypnotist. She helps people with dental phobias all the time. And at that point, Sarah, I was not sold, okay?
Yes,
Be-
yes.
Because I had only seen hypnosis on General Hospital. So to me, I did not understand that it had a therapeutic value. And because of the way that it was portrayed in the media, I felt that it was
Mm,
mind control,
mm,
which, by the way, hypnosis is mind control. It's you controlling your own mind on purpose.
mhm. Yeah.
So it's not the kind of mind control that people think. Fortunately, my sister trusted me and I took her to the hypnotist. Now, she was a minor, so I sat with her and I witnessed this whole
Hmm.
session. And I realized that hypnosis is just a person in a suggestible state listening to someone's words. And that
Hmm.
once the unconscious mind is
Hmm.
convinced that it is safe to make a change or safe and beneficial to make the change, it will inevitably do that because the subconscious mind has a job to do, and that job is to protect. So the interesting thing about this experience was that my sister did not go into a trance. Just like you said, you were not able to be hypnotized.
Hmm.
She was very resistant. She was not trusting. She had her guard up. She sat there with her arms crossed the entire time. I don't know if she even fully closed her eyes. And I left there really disappointed. I did have that cassette tape in my hand, which was a generous gift from this wonderful hypnotist. And on the ride home, I was feeling discouraged. Like I spent money on this,
Hmm.
I spent time on this, and once again, to no avail. And as we continued on our long drive home, my sister said, I think it's time we just go ahead and make that dentist appointment.
Uh-huh.
And I thought to myself, okay, well, that's really weird since the hypnosis didn't work. And
Excuse me.
oh, bless you. And that's when I realized that I didn't understand how hypnosis work. And the
Mm.
proof was really in the pudding when we went to the dentist and I sat by her side and I held her hand and I brought the recording of her session that she could listen to. And I was afraid she was going to run out of this dentist appointment. But to my surprise, I was the one who was nervous because I was nervous that this wasn't going to go well. And
Hmm.
she said to the dentist, she said, you know what? I don't even need any Novocaine because I'll just let you know if it hurts. And she
Wow.
proceeded to have her cavities drilled with no Novocaine. And this
Wow.
all had stemmed from a trauma we discovered from when she was little. She went to the dentist and he said, oh, look at the birdie. And she didn't fall for that. So when she
Uh-huh.
was like 5 years old, she kicked the dentist and leapt out of the chair and was banned from the dentist. So she had a perfectly good reason to not go back. She wasn't even
Yes.
allowed to go back. So fast forward, now she's a teenager and she's at the dentist, calm, cool, and collected, not even needing Novocaine, went on to get her braces on and has the most beautiful smile I've ever seen, still to
Hmm.
this day. So that's when I realized, okay, hypnosis isn't what I think it is.
Hmm.
Hypnosis isn't you go into this
Deep dog.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
unawareness where
Hmm.
someone can control you. What it is, it's a convincing of the unconscious mind that it is safe and beneficial to make a change. And
Hmm.
so that can happen with eyes open. And
Hmm.
that can happen with eyes closed. And that can happen in a trance that's so deep that a person doesn't remember. And that can happen even in just an emotional state where someone's crying or they're elated and you look them in the eye and you say something to them and it
Hmm.
changes them forever for the better or for the worst. So that at least gave me enough faith to try that back pain tape and have my own experience and get on my journey to helping people have more health and more wellness than they ever imagined possible. Because when my clients come to me, each one says they're in their own way. And that's the
Yes.
one thing they do
Yes.
know. They're standing in their own way. And when I work with them, they are empowered unconsciously and consciously to get out of their own way and hold the door open for themselves so the very best version of them can walk through. And that's what I do. And I've been doing for so long and I love it so much. So thank you for letting me tell you that
No,
story.
absolutely. And the thing is, you're so blessed to have actually got this so young in life. So
So,
many people go through the expectation of life. You've got to do this. You must do
yes.
this way. This is what's expected of you. And then, midlife, I was 57 when I started this path, had done many, many, many things. And some of them were meaningful, but this is the one that truly was the calling. And so it would have been nice to have discovered this earlier in life, and to have a bigger impact, and over a longer period. And coming across it so young and
Mhm.
accepting it and realizing it, this was your path is
Mhm.
actually, thank you for actually not letting other expectations. Yes, but who needs a hypnotist? It's a whole load of phoning anyway. I'm being talked out of it because so
Mhm.
many people are. So you were convinced by just two examples, and
It
and that changed your trajectory completely.
it did change my trajectory completely. However, it was a windy road. There were a
Hmm.
lot of regular jobs. There were a lot of years that I wasn't practicing as a hypnotist because for one, I was young and there wasn't anywhere I could work.
Hmm.
So I really needed a job at the time instead of a business. But I never gave up on my dream and I never stopped using it as my superpower. And I never
Mm.
stopped helping my family and friends. And I really believed in the power of the recording. What I
Mm.
never saw coming was podcasting.
Yes.
We lived
Hmm.
in a different world where if you wanted to listen to something, you had to pop it into your cassette deck or your record player or your
Hmm.
CD player. And we all had all of those things, and we all had all of those, all of
Yes.
the accoutrements that go with that.
Yes.
And I kind of miss those days listening to an album cover to cover, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
wearing out a cassette over and over. But when podcasting happened, and it occurred to me that I could give away my hypnosis sessions for free, and that people who will never call a hypnotist because either shame or pride, or maybe just lack of resources or fear, they might be curious enough to press play and see what happens. And that's all I did one day. I just pressed
Mm.
play on that tape one day, and I
Yeah.
was so pleasantly surprised. And Sarah, something I often say is that when the problem is in the mind, so is the solution.
Yes. Yes.
And I love to draw that solution out of
Mm.
someone because it's in there. Well, most always we know what we need to do, what we should do, what we could do. And there is this kind of bridge of resistance. And with
Hmm.
hypnosis, it's so easy to dissolve the bridge of
Yeah.
resistance and melt it away so that
Hmm.
you can be one with that version of you that has the happy relationship, that has the resolve,
Self-confidence and empowerment.
self-confidence.
It's I call, I'm very much about the knowingness. And the
Yes.
knowingness is the divine, whatever you want to call it, God, universe, spirit, source, energy. It's all one thing we label in a different way. When we open up to that and it speaks to our soul and it resonates with our heart and truth, and it goes to our spirit in action for our mind to know what it needs to know in clarity at the time that we need to know it, then
Yes.
that knowledge just is.
Yes.
It just is. It's like a deep breath. It just is. We can't get to the just is if the head is in defense. Yes, but where's the proof? Why did I do blah, blah, blah. And basically, what hypnosis is doing is taking all those. Sometimes they're there for a reason. We do need to question. Yes, absolutely. Not everything, take everything at face value. We do need to question, but we question with our heart soul intellect, not just our
Mm,
head intellect. And if our
yes.
head intellect is in the way, right, just the knowledge, it's constantly, yes, but prove it. What? This, that, it's on that defense. Break that away. Now we can trust that wonderful wisdom that's coming
Yes.
through us, that's within us all the time, saying,
Mhm.
let me out.
Yes. That's right. That's right. It's beautiful because I am a person of faith, and when I pray, I expect my prayer to be answered, and I notice when it happens. And I do believe that all of the praying that I did in my younger life, allowed me to get on the right path and
Mm.
stay on it. Even this August, I'll be celebrating 25 years of marriage with my husband, the same guy from
You
way
only look
back on that.
25, girl. So,
Oh, thank you.
obviously, it's hypnosis is working on the youthful side of things as well.
Thank you so much. My husband is wonderful, and we were just kids,
Mm.
really, but
Yeah.
we decided to grow together, and
Mm.
we are really intentional about that. And we have one wonderful son, and he is going to be turning 22 in a few days. So I've had this very blessed life as the big sister and
Mm.
the wife and the mom. and the wellness hypnotist. So I give the glory to God for that.
Hmm.
And I thank God that He allowed me to discover my gift, the power of the mind. It's a gift that we all have that is
Yes.
hiding in plain sight. And
Mm.
I love sharing with people what is possible when they are impeccable with their word. Because the thing is, Sarah, and I have a feeling you know this already, every cell in your body is eavesdropping on every word
Hmm.
that you
And
say.
absorbing it, like, and
Yes.
storing it.
And taking it as
Yeah.
instructions.
Yes, yes, yes.
So when we say something like, that situation is making me sick, it actually is. When we say, the older I get, blah, 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 and that is something I have completely taken out of my vocabulary,
Hmm.
so much so that if I even dream something like that, I'll correct myself in my dream. And that's how I know I've made this permanent change
Hmm.
in my subconscious. And something I like to share with people is that by simply changing, the older we get, just wiping that away and replacing that with the longer I live, it
Yeah,
will help to impress our unconscious mind and every cell in our body with wisdom and longevity and experience. Because the longer I live, the better I know how to take care of myself. And
you're
the
right.
longer I live, the better I know what I was made to do. And the longer I live, the more love I experience. The longer I live, the more love I give. The longer I live, the better I know how to accelerate my healing. The longer I live, the more I know what my priorities are. And
Purposes, right? And
yes,
I can live in that purpose. As I said, I
yes,
came to this later in
yes,
life. Um, and I kind of signed a contract with above that I'll go until 90 as long as I can hear, see, and speak. Right. So
yes.
I've got 19 and a half years to still go. I've just celebrated my 12th year in my own network and 13 years in the business. Um, and it's when we're given a purpose, yes, age has got nothing to do with it. You were
Mm,
given a purpose early, and all right, you couldn't step into it as a business straight away, right? Bricks and mortars, but not only that, you needed to build up the experience by practicing on friends and
yes,
family,
that's
etc.
right.
And the more you did that, the more it actually not only you perfected how you did it, but the more impact that you saw. So when you
Mhm,
were ready to go business side of it, it wasn't just like, oh, I can do this. I've done it to one or two people. You
mhm, mhm.
build it up. All the experience I've done in my life prepared me for this,
Yes,
right? So everything that we do in our life is never a waste. It's just a transferable skill.
yes.
And I'm going to share another story about cellular. Um, Back in 95, was it 94? One or the other. Um, a woman using a pendulum removed 152 lifetimes from me that had
Oh,
been
wow.
weighing me down and that had been in my cellular structure that I just literally felt this brick wall constantly in front of me. I couldn't go over it, around it, under it. It was there. Wherever I went, it was there. And so by removing these past lifetimes, I felt like I'd taken off a coat that had been a part of my skin. And
Mm,
then later on, there was another 50 lifetimes that came up from very, very deep rooted cellular to be released. And so we cover, I mean, there's trillions and trillions of cells, and the longer you live, I'm changing that dialogue, the
that's
longer
right.
we live, the more cellular, is there. So we, we are going to come across times where, something's come to the surface. Does it serve me? Does it need releasing? And if we can't release it ourselves, then we need someone like you that can go, okay, let's show this the door.
Yes, that's right. That's so well said. When we can't release it ourselves, it is okay to ask for help.
Hmm.
Sometimes that is just pressing play on a recording or a podcast. Sometimes that's a one-to-one session. Oftentimes that's a group session. On Wednesdays, I have something called Wellness Wednesday, and many of us, I have a membership there on Zoom. It's so powerful to intentionally show up at a certain
Yeah.
time every week with people who want to be better, who want to feel better, who know that when they feel better, they do better, right?
Yes.
So that is very powerful.
That's
And
encouragement, isn't it? It's support of one another.
it is.
And we
It
need
is.
that sometimes, especially in a world where we feel forces are trying to tear us apart.
Yes.
This is, I wrote a piece, or I did a show this week, because every week I do my own show. And this week, it was on, how did I write a piece on it? I can't remember, one or the other. But it was very much about when we come together. And we see this right now throughout America, in the world, of protesting going on peacefully. It's in
Mm,
song, it's in celebration of each other. And what is actually happening when people come together under a good vibration,
mm,
right? Where they're actually elevating the consciousness of humanity,
yes.
right? So coming together in something that you do weekly, coming together with other people to talk about something that maybe you can't talk about with people over there, but you can talk about with people over here. It's all an elevation to opening up our consciousness to this higher plane. We are
Mhm.
so behind on our human evolution. It
Mm,
is the invitation for us to rise up to a higher divine level and really then begin to actually understand there aren't any limits, there are no limitations whatsoever. It's all about exploration and
yes.
where are we meant to go. And you're taking off the clamps that are
Hmm.
holding us down. And many of those clamps are DNA, they are ancestral, they are eons and eons of training, from societal expectation of, well, I have to do it this way. Why? Because I was told to. Why? You know, my mother did it that way. Was it right? Well, I don't know, but her grandmother did it that way.
That's
And
right.
that cycle and cycle and cycle. But are you meant to do it this way?
Mhm.
And the answer is no, you can break the cycle. But unless we
Yes.
recognize it, we can't break it.
That's right. That's right. And having that awareness is
Mm,
something that hypnosis can definitely help us with because it's beautiful to be present and fully in our body, but there is also a huge benefit from being just meditation itself, being the observer, kind of
mhm,
looking at you're looking at ourselves from a distance right now, sitting in these chairs with these headsets on, having this conversation. It really helps to give us a new perspective and a new awareness. And to be able to do that in hypnosis and look at that situation that
mhm,
feels troublesome or looking at what might be the thing that is holding us back and to see it from a distance can give us some great insights. And a lot of times, just simply that perspective can be so
mhm.
healing because how many times, Sarah, have you thought, if that person could just see themselves the way that
Yes,
I see them,
I know. Yes,
if that
yes.
person could see themselves the way God sees them? And I'm not
But
saying that hypnosis
if you try to say
would do
something to
that,
them, they
but
snap your head off, right? So,
absolutely.
this is why kind of you're removing that. If they're willing to
Yes.
go that way, you're removing that. And then there's that aha moment.
Mhm.
Okay, now I know what they're talking about. But when
Yes.
somebody else tells you out of love,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Uh, I definitely have to put aside my big sister role sometimes
mm-mm,
of
mhm.
um, all the helpful advice, right? So,
Oh yeah, yes, 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 absolutely. And this is why this particular genre is called Your Health is Your Choice,
yes.
because it is. There are so many solutions. And it's, are we willing to nurture them?
Mhm.
We've been told in the last 50 or more years that it's Western medicine or no medicine,
Mhm.
where which again has its place, and it's been able to do things for us that we weren't able to do before. Absolutely, it has a place. But the holistic medicine that's been around for thousands of years has
Mhm.
kept us alive for thousands of years before
Yes,
Western medicine came along just
that's
over
right.
100 years ago. And much of that holistic medicine is heartfulness,
Mm.
soulfulness, and mindfulness.
Yes, absolutely. That's beautiful. And that is so true. Western medicine is rather new.
Mhm.
I can imagine that 5, 10. 20 years from now, we'll look back and think that some of the practices that we have now are rather maybe even barbaric.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oftentimes there's a gentler way. But I am thankful for doctors and
Yes. Yes.
and as a matter of fact, I'm thankful for all the different facets of our society.
Hmm.
I'm thankful for religion and different cultures and all of the things, and medicine is part of that. However, I proceed with caution when it
Mm.
comes to doctors because what some doctors realize and some doctors don't realize is that they are all hypnotists. When a
Mm.
person goes to the doctor and is told something about themselves, that patient leaves believing that that
Yes.
is true. And
Yes.
their body falls in line with that diagnosis or that label or even that suggestion that a certain thing might happen at a certain age. And there is a book by Dr. Steve Bierman that is absolutely incredible. It's called Beyond Pills and Potions, and he is he was an ER. He is a medical doctor. He worked for many years in the ER, and he began to realize that that lab coat had
Mm.
magical powers.
Mm.
He started to realize that he could help people quit smoking as a doctor with just a well-placed suggestion at just the right time. Like
Mhm.
he tells a story where somebody's in there with a breathing problem and he lets them know what's going on and then he kind of comes back in the room and stands in the doorway and looks at them and says something to the effect of, and I am paraphrasing here, um, about how now that you're no longer a smoker, such and such. And patients would come back to him and say, I don't know what you did to me, doc, but
Mhm.
I'm different now. And see, when we are in a crisis, in
Yes.
a medical setting, and there is the person with the prestige, the
Mhm.
person who we are going to take what they say as word, he realized that he could deliver a suggestion and positively impact the outcome for that patient.
This was so
Um,
susceptible at that time.
Yes. And
Hmm.
everything from even speaking to now what he specializes in is pre-surgical hypnosis, which
Mm.
is someone's going to go in for a complicated surgery. He tells them that they're going to have what they call a dry surgery where there's no excess bleeding, and the body listens. He also can help to alleviate pain by instead of saying, "Oh, this is going to hurt,"
Yeah.
brace yourself. He's going to say, you know, you're gonna feel a spark, or I'm
Mm.
not exactly sure what his words are, but I'm so amazed that there is a medical doctor that put it all together and has now transformed his life work into educating other
Yes.
doctors,
I saw,
educating.
educating if they're willing,
Yes,
right? You still
correct.
got doctors, I'm God, and
Yeah.
what I say goes, and they want to keep you sick because they want to keep the revolving door, right?
Mhm.
So you change doctors. But I saw many, many years ago, quite fascinating brain surgery where
Mm.
they took part of the skull off and they were working on the brain and they were talking to the person, what do you feel here? What do you feel there? And no anesthesia whatsoever. It was all done by hypnosis beforehand.
Wow. Yes, that was the original anesthesia.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons that hypnosis gains traction is because um, people were able to undergo really difficult procedures prior to I
Mm.
mean, praise the Lord for anesthesia today.
Yeah. Oh, yes, yes. Have
I would,
used it a few
yeah,
times.
yeah, I would take the anesthesia.
Yeah.
So but it is incredible what is possible. And
Yes.
I also want to put in another good word for doctors. A lot of times, because I do believe it is a business, of course it
Mm.
is, and I do believe they want to keep that revolving door going. But sometimes the reason that doctors are um, allowing that to happen is because they believe in sickness more than they believe in health.
Yeah. Yes.
And they not only have been indoctrinated to believe that
Hmm.
way, but also they are saturated with a lot of sickness. They are in a space where they see a lot of
Yeah.
illness and death, and that does affect the unconscious mind. So it is really important to have those people in our corner that have that ridiculous faith, that
Hmm.
one that those people in our life that are going to pray against the odds because they don't
Hmm.
even believe in the odds, right?
Right.
Um,
And to see a patient that they've seen in the biggest crisis come back well.
yes.
If you are a trauma doctor or nurse, you're just seeing that everybody at their worst. And you
Hmm.
don't ever see anybody well. Where a
Mm,
family doctor may see somebody sick and then they see them well.
yes.
And so I think it's important that, and this was actually an interview I did with a doctor who worked in surgery. And he said, the trouble is, everything is so different departments. There is no cohesive conversation from one to the other.
Right.
And he said, we need to have the follow through that we can go through each one and
Yes.
see the whole of the patient. And I think that not only is better for the patient, but I think it's better for the doctor.
Yes. Yes, it shows them the whole picture. And my
Mm,
husband always jokes about why is there separate dental insurance and
mm.
vision insurance? Because how is that not part of your body?
Yes, exactly.
And
Yeah.
everything we've learned about the
There should just
systemic,
be whole insurance, like, from
yeah,
top to bottom, right? Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
body insurance. Because
Body insurance, and
right.
then mind insurance. Yeah, exactly. I mean, whole wellness completely.
Yes.
Going back to the power of the suggestion, my father had a heart attack at 40,
Mm,
and the doctor said to him, "You've got 3 months to live." And my father was a fighter pilot in the war. He was a racing car driver. And it was, come on, death, I'm challenging you. He lived 4 years. Had they said
mm,
to him, with changes,
mhm,
you can live a long life. Now, my brother had a heart attack and he immediately became vegan.
mm,
He's always been a walker, but he became vegan, healthy lifestyle, still likes his glass of wine now and again, one a night, his coffee, um, nothing in excess. 9 years later, he had another heart attack. And they said, actually, the whole reason it's 9 years and it wasn't within a year, he has a defective heart, which is probably what killed my father. So it was something wrong with the actual heart. But is your lifestyle have saved you twice,
mhm.
right?
Wow.
Now, why couldn't the doctor have said instead, oh no, mate, you're lucky if you got 3 months. Well, that's a death sentence. And
Yes.
somebody is going to rush towards death. Okay, get it over with,
Mhm.
right? So we do have to be mindful. Any medical profession does. Anybody that's in coaching profession, anybody that's in
Yes.
any profession. Yes, sometimes you as you did with your sister, you wanted to kind of shake her up a bit.
Yes.
Nobody's wanting to kind of kiss those lips with those
That's
teeth,
right.
right?
Yes.
And of course, it has the adverse thing. It makes them even more horrified. But and sometimes we do need to shake people up a little bit for them to know what's the alternative.
Right.
But I think, honey does get more. And so
Hmm.
encouragement does get more. And I'm going to dive now into weight issue because that's something that you do too.
Hmm.
And
Yes.
there is somebody I know who she is size 4X and her sister is like a size 2.
Mm.
And the sister is constantly going on to, well, if you lost some weight and never stops, right? Now, shaming somebody, right, is never making somebody feel conscious about their weight when it's a battle for them is never going to help them,
Hmm.
right? But hypnosis, because I think the more people worry about the weight, the more the weight worries about them.
Yes.
So
That's right.
hypnosis, I imagine, would be extremely advantageous for people that are wanting to get over why am I gaining weight all the time?
Yes. So what I've noticed with my clients is that weight becomes identity level.
Mm,
So a person who considers themselves as a thin person, maybe their self-talk is they're a skinny person, they identify that way. And that is who they are. And the inverse is true for a person who, especially like an extreme case, who is larger, much larger. Um, they can't actually imagine
mm,
themselves being any other way.
right.
And that's why it feels so, but so the sister can imagine it, right?
Mm.
So she's just wants for her sister to see her the way that she does, empowered. Like you can do this. Like there is a
Not much
healthier.
empowerment coming from this particular system.
I
There's a
I
lot
I
of
sus
conflict there, but
I
yeah.
suspect that she has a good intention.
Mm,
Um, but that just builds the wall of resistance.
hmm
So, to one of the nice things that I like to do in hypnosis, and my recordings, there are many. I have some for dissolving sugar cravings. I have
mm,
some for increasing the dial on your metabolism, for seeing yourself make healthy choices. I mean, these are the kinds of things, Sarah, like you see yourself in the supermarket, putting the things into your cart that you know are going to nourish your body, feeling really proud of yourself
hmm
as the person who's in the checkout line is noticing that you have all of this healthy food on the conveyor belt, really putting themselves into real life situations and trying those situations on to see what they might feel like. Because just like a new pair of pants, it just doesn't feel just right.
Yeah.
Even a new jacket, one that looks great on you and it looks really spiffy and it's warm and it's comfortable, it just doesn't feel just right.
Mm,
It's got to be broken in. The most perfect pair of shoes, you got to wear them out a little bit. You
yeah.
got to scuff the bottoms, right? You got to let them shape to your foot. Hypnosis is a way on to try, it's a way to try on a new identity that feels so foreign and begin to play with the idea, to plant the seed in the mind so that it has the opportunity to grow. And I was just listening to your episode with, I want to say Terry Werner, I think,
Yes. Hmm
and you both had the most beautiful conversation that I absolutely resonated with about one being the seed, but also
hmm
planting the seed and nourishing it and the fertile soil and all of those things. So that is our mind. Our
Yeah.
mind can be that fertile soil. And as you mentioned, that be careful what seeds you plant because
hmm
the weeds grow just as easily
Yes.
as the
More
beautiful flowers
ferociously.
and more
Yeah.
aggressively, right?
Yes.
So hypnosis can be a great way to plant these seeds in the mind
hmm
and see if the person is open to nourishing them.
Yeah.
And one of the really cool things about particularly a hypnosis recording, and I always come back to the recordings because there's only so much that can happen in a 1 hour session
hmm
or a 90-minute session, but a recording can be listened to over and over again. And
hmm
it can be the water, it can be the fertilizer, it
Yes.
can be the sunshine. A person can make changes in the privacy of their own mind without the pressure and the shame and the confrontation. When a client comes to me, often they're just bursting with nervousness and stress, and
Mm,
it's painful to even talk about. But when they just press play on a recording and they drift off to sleep at night, it leverages the hypnagogic state, which for anyone listening, the hypnagogic state is that state of trance or hypnosis that every single person passes through every single day, whether you know it or not, whether you like it or not. Hypnagogic state is happening as you go to sleep, and the hypnopompic state is somewhat equivalent, and that's happening upon waking in the morning. So these are times where even if you don't listen to a recording, you can deliver positive affirmations, suggestions, visualizations, prayers, those things that are going to make the difference for you. But it can take a lot of bandwidth. It can take a lot of energy to wake up in the morning and say, all right, I'm going to say my affirmations, or I'm going to read
mhm.
this statement, or I'm going to do this particular prayer. Just hitting play and just letting it happen, staying
Yeah.
in bed a little longer and listening to those saturating your mind so that there is nothing else in there besides that healthy, energetic person who is healing according to their youthful blueprint, who has so much to live for, who is thanking their eyes for
Mhm,
seeing and their ears for
mhm.
hearing and their arms for moving and their feet for walking, who is desiring to prioritize their healthy hydration, to nourish their body, to become absolutely immune to those foods um, that hurt more than they help,
Yes.
right? I mean, people have different things. For some people, they do everything right, but they can't get off the soda. I can help
Yeah.
people get off the soda.
hmm
I can help them help themselves get off the soda, right?
Yes.
Um, I like to say when it comes to people with fast food addiction, and that used to be me, there was just many years where I felt that I was too busy to pack a lunch or cook, or that's what I
hmm
told myself. But I hit this kind of spot in my life where it was like a now or never. I wanted to get healthy. I wanted my husband to get healthy. And so now what I say is I drive by instead of drive through. And
Right.
every
Yeah.
time I drive by instead of drive through, I
Hmm.
feel a little bit proud of myself, and
Yeah.
that's a change that we can try in hypnosis. We can see what it feels like to drive by that McDonald's instead
Yes.
of drive through. And we can anchor in how good it feels to feel good about ourselves. And we can anchor in the idea of how much lighter we feel and how much um, less shame we feel and how good we feel when we lay our head on the pillow that night and know that we did the thing that is going to give us more longevity and more health and a better complexion and all of those things, because the unconscious mind, it's just waiting for instructions, and the only
Yes.
reason that we are having issues is because we're giving it really bad instructions when we say,
Or it's on a repetitive loop,
of
right?
course.
That we,
Yes,
we need to break the cycle of and
that's
give it
right.
new instructions
Yes,
back to I've always done it this way, or it's yes, it's okay to you know sever that tape
that's
and
right.
start using another one, because very often it is just simply we don't know how to change the dialogue. We don't know how to change the pattern,
Mhm.
and we're such pattern creatures,
We
that
are.
when we even when I recognize it's a bad pattern, but I don't know how to change the pattern.
Yes,
And
yes,
what you're doing is planting that seed. The old pattern isn't good for me. The old
that's
pattern
right.
is weighing me down. The old pattern is giving me weight. The weight pattern is brain fog. The new pattern, I feel uplifted. I feel enlightened. I feel this. And I always say it takes 8 positives to undo one negative.
Mhm.
Right? So it's a repetitive. The more you repeat on the good, the more you let go of the bad.
That's right. That's very well said. And that's one of the reasons it's important to surround ourselves with people who feel like sunshine, because we
Yeah.
need that sunshine in our life. And not just people like you and I,
Hmm.
but also the content that we choose to consume.
Hmm.
What we see, the thing is about the unconscious mind is it doesn't forget anything ever. So even if we can't consciously recall something, our body remembers it. Our nervous system remembers it. The recesses of our mind
Hmm.
are affected by it. So when we begin to believe that that's true, it's very empowering because we can, sometimes it's not so much that we don't know how to change, it's that we don't believe that we can.
Yeah.
I've had someone reach out to me who quit smoking just by simply listening to sessions on the podcast.
Excellent.
And he showed up in my group session to personally thank me. And what he shared was that it was easy. It was easy because I had prefaced that session by telling a story about how I witnessed a person saying that they just let it be easy, that they're the kind of person that does crazy things and they just decided they were going to stop smoking. And that was maybe the seed that was planted before he started listening to
Mm.
the hypnosis repeatedly. But this is a man who said, I finally kicked the smokes and it was easy because Sarah, when we want to do what we have to do, we can let it be easy. I
Yeah.
don't
What's the
like
first thing we do? Resist,
exactly.
right?
I liken it to the pile of laundry that is often on my couch, right? Like the mountain that it takes faith to move, that one.
Mm.
Um, I'll tell you what, if I'm going on vacation, I am just so happily just doing this laundry and packing that suitcase. And that thing that I resist suddenly becomes joyous
Yeah.
because I have a reason and I have a purpose and I have a motivation and I can let it be easy. So, um, that can really be applied to so many things in life. What if believing it's hard is what makes it hard?
Yes. Yes. I need to get my son on that. He literally took a medication where they gave all sorts of warnings that it could cause this and it could cause that, but it will stop you smoking. And he had no reaction at all and didn't stop smoking at all. So he definitely needs, and for him, it's associated with his stress. This is
Hmm.
de-stresses me.
Hmm.
So it's, when you choose not to use that as a
Mhm.
de-stressor. Now, before we finish up, I want to hit on something else. People with pain,
Mm.
right? Now, pain is an indication that there's something wrong in the body.
Mhm. Mhm.
But very often the pain is escalated because we're worrying about what's wrong in the body.
Yes. And that happens for me. I am that person that I call it like body anxiety. So
Hmm. Hmm.
I have a lot of sympathy for people who struggle with that, either consciously or unconsciously. The really cool thing about pain is when we recognize that it is there to help us, it can go a lot faster. We have to have pain. If we didn't burn ourselves one time, we'd probably be
Right. Yeah.
burn and feel the pain of it. We might
Yes.
burn ourselves again. Also, it can alert us that something needs attention
Mm-hmm.
or that we need to do more of something or less of something. So when we start to like reframe pain in a way to recognize that it's a natural process that is there to help us, it then can be acknowledged and it can be released. Also, pain can allow us to know sometimes what our limitations are so that we don't injure ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's important too. So, as a hypnotist, I have to be very careful not to take away somebody's pain if it really does need to be there so that they
Yes.
don't go skipping down the road when they can't do that anymore. However, I had a client who listened to the podcast. Sweetest lady. She was from Ireland. It was first client ever from Ireland, and she told me how she had back pain when she would go to church, sitting in the pews, and how when she would be gardening, that it was just really holding her back from doing the thing that gave her the most joy. So the suggestion that I told her was that if it's a useless pain, if it's a
Mm-hmm.
useless back pain and it's no longer serving a purpose, then you might be surprised after this session that it's gone. And I did add some pain management suggestions into the session, and she did go very deeply. She had rapid eye movement. She was all the way in. Um, she emailed me and said, I can't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So it's
Because what you've
powerful.
put in there is a recognition, right?
Yes.
Now, and I've had fibromyalgia for 28 years, and I remember going to a fibromyalgia kind of gathering where there was this counselor helping people through it. And I went with someone and she said, Sarah, don't do it, don't do it. And I'm there gritting my teeth because the whole way through, oh, I know it hurts. Oh, I know you're suffering. And that was the entire session. And he had, by his own admission, been an addict. And all he had
Mm,
done is transferred one addict to another,
mm,
right? And another addiction. And his addiction was to feed the misery because it made him feel good
wow.
or like a hero. So I did have to say something. And I said, okay, I'm sorry. But if you keep feeding the pain and the suffering, the pain and suffering is going to grow.
That's right.
And everybody just looked at me. And like, I live with pain. I'm never below a five. But I've
Mhm.
learned to partner with it. I am not my disease. My disease walks with me. And if I do worry about it, then it increases.
Yes,
Right. So, and I think that is the kind of pain we can address. I love the fact that you said, if this pain does not serve me,
that's
if
right.
this pain is not here to protect me, then we need to let it go because how much pain do we carry around because we're feeling guarded over the pain we have?
100%. That is so well said. Pain can often be like a nagging child,
Hmm.
right? Mommy, 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 and mommy's doing something else, and they just get louder and louder and louder.
Yes.
And when she finally says, "Okay,
Yeah.
I hear you,"
Hmm.
right? Our pain wants to be heard. It
Hmm.
wants to be noticed. And if we can say, "Hello, pain," and this is something you can play around with, Sarah. Hello,
Hmm.
pain. I hear you. I hear you. And just acknowledge it and give yourself permission to turn the volume down on it a little bit. Like,
Yes.
okay, shh, pain, I see
Mm.
you. Shh, quiet,
Yeah.
right. And that can
Yes.
be really powerful. So, yeah, thank you for asking about pain. I
I,
appreciate
I
that.
I walked down an avenue of trees once when I was walking with my dog, and all the leaves were just shouting away. And I said, "You're talking too loud. I can't hear you." And every tree stopped. There
Wow.
wasn't one shimmer of a leaf.
Wow.
Then I just said, "Okay, what are you trying to say?"
Mm,
Right. And this is the thing, nature talks to us all the time.
all the
We
time.
think that we've got to have this, all of a sudden, the trees are going to open its mouth and speak a language to you. No, it's speaking to your heart, your soul, your spirit. Right. And if we allow nature to speak to us, if we allow the divine to speak to us,
Mhm.
and we could feel our knowledge and not think our knowledge,
Yes,
we would drive ourselves forward in a much more productive way.
that's
And
right.
I know I get those days where, okay, um, you've overdone it. You've two grandchildren bouncing around on you, wearing you weather ragged, and you haven't rested lately. You haven't taken the time. I'm pulling the plug. And for
Hmm.
that day, doesn't matter what I have got to do.
Hmm.
And there's always something to do, piles of stuff to do. I do nothing
Hmm.
because my body has said, no, you're doing nothing.
That's right.
And it's honor the body when the body speaks to you.
That's right.
Because
Because it'll
otherwise,
find a way to force
oh,
you.
it will cost me 2x4. Didn't I tell you?
That's right.
Exactly.
So yes, listen and honor the
Mm.
body. That's really beautifully said
I'm
and so
certainly going
important.
to be listening to your podcast. Sleep is one thing that with a person with ADD, but also that's when I get my messaging at night, and
Mm,
also the pain, right? Keeps me awake.
yes,
And
sure.
so there's always something going on. And so I'm definitely going to be listening to some of your podcasts with that. But I fully agree, there's a lot of people that I get up at 4:30 in the morning and I meditate. And I thought, but if you've got a hyperactive mind, it's hard to meditate,
Hmm.
right? Having something that you can just go to your phone. And this is a tip, folks. When you open your eyes, immediately look to your window so you can get daylight into your eyeballs before you
Yes.
get phone light into your eyeballs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But then go to the one that meditate of affirmations for the day, right?
Yes. That's right.
Where it's like, hello, day. What do we got on our plate today? I know I'm going to have the energy to meet you and the enthusiasm, whatever day you're going to bring to me. And I think that sets us in the right framework to embrace a good day where good things will happen. And even if bad things are happening, it's happening for a reason for us.
Mhm. That's right. I've heard you say on other episodes about things happening,
Mm-hmm. Don't
not
happen to us, they happen for us. Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. And I do believe that, but also a person who says I can't catch a break,
Yes.
they don't notice when they do.
Exactly. Hello, the exit, it's like a horror movie. The exit door is here,
Yeah.
and just go to the door.
Right. Look for the signs.
Yeah, look for, and I've done many, many shows on that, and I wrote an article on that, like something like 25 years ago. Also, I have a program called Your View of Life, and it's all about of signs in life. And what are they trying to tell you? The universe, God, source is speaking to you all the time. And if
Yes.
you are present and you are at one with yourself, you're with your core self, and
Yes.
you're truly walking the path you're meant to walk, you will read the signs.
That's right.
But if you're in distress, or if you're in stress, if you're in blah, 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 blah,
Mhm.
all that chatter, I should have, could have, bit it, would it, but all of that, it doesn't matter if the sign's right in your face, you're not going to see it.
That's right.
So
That's so true.
hypnosis not only changes the dialogue, but it calms the mind,
Yes.
slows you down enough so you can pay attention to what is in
Yes.
front of you, because that's what you need to know right now.
That's right. That's right.
Excellent. Okay, now how did they get to the podcast? How did they get you to book a session? Where
Yes,
do they
thank you.
go on Wednesdays? Tell us all about it.
Thank you so much, Sarah. To book a session or to join my Wellness Wednesday, just simply go to adriannehart.com and all the information is there. It's really easy. Right now, I'm running a 30-day free trial for the membership. It's only $47 a month for the people that want to make it a long-term event. But I'm happy for anyone to visit the group. There's a 30-day free trial automatically included. And finding the podcast is a great place to start. Almost all my clients and Wellness Wednesday members start there. And so if a person is listening right now and they simply realize that they could have a higher quality of life if they went to bed on time instead of watching one more episode of Netflix, the podcast can definitely help with that. Also, it has really specific things for dissolving sugar cravings or, as we mentioned, some of the healthy weight things. Stop procrastinating, scrolling, driving anxiety, just about everything on there. I think I have like 200 and some free sessions, and they do continue to get better and better. I continue to be a work in progress, as we all are. So if you would like
Exactly.
to get well with me, that's the name of the podcast, and it's everywhere. It's on Apple and Spotify and just iHeart, all the places, Castbox, anywhere, Amazon, wherever you listen, you will find Get Well with Me, and you'll see my logo there. It's like a green and a bluish kind of a color.
Right.
Pretty
Teal.
easy to
Mhm.
find. Yes, it's teal. We'll go.
Yes.
Yes, very
And
good.
I'm following you right now on Spotify. And of course, for people who are listening, Adrian is
Yes,
ADRIANNE.com.
that's right.
And she's got the group hypnosis membership. She's got the Wellness Wednesday. She's on YouTube as well under her name. So yes, just reach out, because start off with the podcast. Have I'm certainly going for the sleep one because sleep is, you know, unfortunately, over the next few days, I'm going to be sleeping with my 2-year-old grandson because he sleeps in my room when we go away. And he's what I call a graphic sleeper.
Oh.
And the mother in me is up, up, up.
Mhm.
So I don't think I'm going to get much sleep for that. But when I come back, I'm going to need the deep sleep. So I will be putting that on.
Absolutely.
But
Oh.
maybe I should play it while he's sleeping so he goes into a deeper sleep and less graphic. So,
I do
uh,
have kids that listen. My some of my nieces, I pick them up from school for school on Friday, and they call me Aunt Age, and they say, Aunt Age, I listened to your meditation last night to go to sleep, and that always makes me so happy. And I think it works easily for them, probably because they already trust my voice. So I don't
right.
know
Yeah.
the impact it would have on every child, but they're all family friendly listening. So.
Oh, and my son-in-law does not sleep well because he suffers from anxiety, and that's when
Mhm.
all the anxiousness, comes across while
Yes.
he's sleeping. So definitely want to find one of that and get him to
Yes,
listen to that. So, um,
sure.
and and that's the thing. There's always an answer, and of course, if it started the ball rolling, fantastic. But if you've got deeper issues,
Yes,
and things that you may not even understand what it is causing the problem, then
that's
these are
right.
the times that you reach out to Adrian to go through the sessions. And
Thank you.
that is what it's all about. I bring you people that do have the solutions. And it's, not one size fits all. You've got to go with the person that you feel resonant with. But hypnosis gets you out of the blah, 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 blah. And it,
Yes,
and it gets you listening to your beautiful divine wisdom that is always there, ready, accessible. And you can't hear it because your mind is chattering too much with all the negativity and with all the should, all of that. So bypassing that and getting into the heart and the soul of something is going to help you navigate your path. And you're going to need help on that. You've got the podcast that can ignite it, but some for a deeper issue or something you don't even understand, that I don't know why I do what I do. I've always done it and I don't know how to break the pattern. Reach out to Adrian, because
yes.
all it is a pattern that needs to be broken and a new path laid forward. It's just like your computer, right? When you've
Very
got old
similar.
programming, it's going to run slow,
That's right.
right?
Or we have all the windows open at once. If you're like me, I have about 100 windows open on my computer right now.
Exactly.
And it helps to close those once in a while so that we can
Exactly.
focus on what's right in front of us.
And then upload a program that actually is optimized and is going to work for you, right?
That's
and
right.
and that's the patterning that we need. we carry around with us so much that no longer serves us.
It's
But the
so
trouble
true.
is, we don't always recognize what it is.
That's
So
true.
be open, give it a try, because you have no idea if it's going to work for you or not until you try,
Mm,
right? So, it's care for yourself, care for yourself. Your
yes,
health is your choice. Here is a solution. Are you going to press that button and listen to a couple of podcasts? Are you going to reach out to Adrianne and say, help me? I don't know what's in my way,
yes.
but I know that it needs to be blasted.
Thank you, Sarah. So very well said. And thank you for everyone who's listening right now. I appreciate you and the opportunity to have this very real conversation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. And for following your path, right? You didn't wait until you're 50 or 60 like some of us. You followed your path, and you're doing the work that is needed. You're being guided, and it's serving, and that's all that we're here to do. So
That's
keep on
right.
serving, girl. So
Yes, you too. Thank you, Sarah.
I got no option. This is it. I'm following the path because there ain't any other paths for me. So
That's right.
it's the same with you. It's the hypnosis path, and that's the one you're meant to be on.
Yes.
But we can branch off within the path. It's all the same
That's
tree.
right. That's
Yes.
right. Very well
Yeah.
said. Amen.
So it's adrianhart.com, folks. Reach out to her and uh, give it a try, because you have no idea until you do whether it's going to work for you. So come on, that big leap, the first step. Listen to a podcast and then reach out to Adrian. So until next time, folks, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. There are so many more for you here on selfdiscoverywisdom.com. Just go to the podcast tag at the top there, and you will see all the many genres and all 3,000 shows ready for your listening. We are here to serve you, to help you on your journey of life, and we know that through inspiration, it begets invitation. We are supported by you, the listeners, and those that we interview. Anything that you can spare us in donation would be greatly accepted, and we do hope that you enjoy the next show.